Video script 3. Brutal lessons about business ideas for stay-at-home moms that rewired my brain. The coffee had gone cold again. She stared at it, sitting abandoned on the counter between a half-folded basket of laundry and her daughter's breakfast plate. Another morning, balancing the noise of the house and the quiet question she kept avoiding. Can I really build something of my own? She wasn't chasing millions, just freedom. The kind that fits between nap times and school pickups. The kind that doesn't require permission or apology. But every time she opened her laptop, that voice returned. The one that sounded like doubt dressed up as practicality. Part of her still felt guilty for wanting more, as if ambition had to disappear when motherhood began. As if dreaming about income and independence meant she wasn't grateful enough for what she already had. But the truth kept knocking anyway. Quietly, persistently. She had tried before. Little attempts, a craft store that never launched, a blog that collected dust after 3 posts. Each time she told herself the same story. Maybe success just wasn't meant for someone like her. Maybe the timing would never be right. Then came the lesson she didn't expect. The brutal one. The kind that doesn't come from a business book or a motivational quote. It came from the mess on her kitchen table. From the moment she realized she'd been asking the wrong question entirely. What would you have done in her place? Because the first brutal lesson wasn't about finding the perfect business idea. It was about understanding why she kept abandoning them. She thought it was about time, about not having enough hours in the day. But time was never the real enemy. It was permission. She was waiting for someone to tell her it was okay to try. Waiting for her kids to be older. Waiting for her husband to validate the idea. Waiting for certainty in a world that offers none. And while she waited, other mothers with the same schedules and the same doubts were already building. According to recent studies, small home-based businesses led by women are growing 40% faster than other segments. Proof that clarity often beats capital. Proof that mothers aren't waiting anymore. They're starting messy, starting scared, starting anyway. She sat down that afternoon and wrote 3 words in her notebook. Start before ready. Not as motivation, as permission. The permission she'd been denying herself for years. And something shifted. Not everything, just enough. But the idea didn't come from inspiration. It came from frustration, from noticing what annoyed her, what she kept searching for and couldn't find, what other mothers in her online groups kept asking about over and over. The problem she assumed everyone had already solved. Sometimes growth doesn't look like progress. It looks like staying present long enough to notice what's missing. The second brutal lesson hit harder, because it challenged everything she believed about business ideas. She thought she needed something new, something innovative, something no one had done before. But that's not what the market rewards. The market rewards clarity, consistency, and care. She almost gave up on the idea entirely. Too simple, she thought. Too ordinary. Who would pay for something they could probably figure out themselves? Then came the message that changed everything. A stranger in her inbox asking if she offered what she'd been too afraid to sell. That's when she understood. The brutal truth no one talks about in business content. You don't need a revolutionary idea. You need the courage to own an ordinary one, to show up for it daily, to refine it until it works. Most successful home businesses aren't selling innovation, they're selling reliability. She smiled, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. A simple service, a clear offer, a handful of clients who needed exactly what she could provide. Nothing flashy, nothing viral, just valuable. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter. But it no longer felt like chaos. It felt like possibility. The kind you build slowly. The kind that doesn't require a separate office or a business degree. Just focus. And the willingness to be seen trying. What part of her journey are you living right now? Because the third brutal lesson was the one she resisted most. The one that made her uncomfortable. The one about visibility. She thought she could build quietly. Stay hidden behind a screen. Let the work speak for itself. But businesses don't grow in silence. They grow in connection. Every successful stay-at-home mom entrepreneur she studied had one thing in common. They showed up. Not perfectly, not with fancy production, but consistently. They shared their process, their doubts, their small wins, and people responded. Not to perfection, to honesty. Then came the doubt. The kind that whispers louder than failure. What if people judge me? What if my family thinks I'm neglecting them? What if I fail publicly instead of privately? The fear wasn't irrational, it was human. But it was also the wall between her and everything she wanted. She started small. A simple post, a short video. Her voice shaking slightly, her lighting imperfect, her message clear. And the response wasn't judgment, it was relief. Other mothers saying, "I thought I was the only one." Other mothers asking, "How did you start?" Visibility wasn't about performing, it was about permission. Giving others permission to try by showing them someone already was. And in that exchange, something unexpected happened. Her confidence grew, not from success, from showing up despite the fear. She learned that most stay-at-home moms don't fail because their ideas are bad. They fail because they stay invisible too long. They perfect in private until the momentum dies, until the idea feels too old, too irrelevant, too late. But timing isn't about being first. It's about being present. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let people watch you figure it out. The months that followed weren't linear. Some weeks felt like progress. Others felt like treading water. She had clients cancel. She had technical problems. She had days where the guilt crept back in, where she wondered if she was being selfish, if she should just be content. But something had rewired, not just in her business, in her brain. She stopped seeing motherhood and ambition as opposing forces, started seeing them as complementary. Her kids weren't obstacles to her dreams. They were part of the reason she was building them, to show them what's possible, to model resilience, to prove that growth doesn't end when responsibility begins. Her daughter asked her one morning what she was working on, and for the first time, she didn't minimize it, didn't call it just a little project. She explained it, simply, proudly. And her daughter nodded, said it was cool, went back to her cereal, and in that tiny moment, something profound happened. She realized she was teaching without lecturing, leading without announcing. What would you have done differently? The business didn't make her rich. Not in the first year, maybe not ever. But it gave her something more valuable. Agency. The feeling of building something that was hers, of solving problems, of contributing, of being more than one role, more than one story. She thought about all the advice she'd consumed, the webinars, the courses, the gurus promising 6 figures in 6 months. And she realized most of it missed the point. The point wasn't speed, it wasn't scale, it wasn't even money. The point was ownership of your time, your skills, your narrative. What helped her most wasn't just finding the right tools, it was realizing she didn't need permission to start small. She tested different approaches before finding what truly worked. And honestly, having a simple system changed everything. Not because it was magic, because it removed the excuse of complexity. This isn't a promotion, just something that made the path a little lighter. If you're building something from home, sometimes the right planner or productivity tool or learning resource isn't about luxury. It's about removing friction, about making the overwhelm manageable. I'll leave a link below if you want to explore what helped me. But the real tool is always the decision to begin. She still had hard days. Days where the house felt too loud and the business felt too small. But she also had days where a client thanked her, where her bank account reflected her effort, where she felt like herself again. Not just mom, not just wife, but her. The version she thought she'd lost somewhere between diapers and dinner routines. The brutal lessons weren't comfortable. They required her to challenge beliefs she'd held for years, to risk being judged, to accept that imperfect action beats perfect planning every time. But they also gave her something irreplaceable. Proof that she could start something, build something, be something beyond the roles assigned to her. When she poured her coffee the next morning, it was still hot. Because this time she wasn't rushing. She wasn't juggling guilt and ambition. She was building, slowly, steadily, on her terms. And that was its own kind of freedom, the kind no one could take away, the kind that didn't require anyone's approval but hers. Her workspace was still her kitchen counter. Her schedule was still chaotic. Her path was still uncertain. But her mindset had shifted. From waiting to creating, from doubting to testing, from hiding to sharing. And in that shift, Everything changed. Not overnight, but unmistakably. These 3 lessons rewired more than her business approach. They rewired how she saw herself, not as someone waiting for permission, but as someone capable of giving it to herself, to her dreams, to the life she wanted to build while still being present for the life she already had. Tell us what part of her story resonated with you most and where you're watching from. Your journey might just inspire the next one, because somewhere right now, another mother is staring at cold coffee, asking herself if she can really do this. And your story might be the permission she needs. This is educational and inspirational content, not financial advice. Every journey is different. Every timeline is personal, but the lessons remain. Start before ready. Own the ordinary. Show up visibly. And trust that the messy middle is where the real transformation happens. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.